I'm not lucky, I'm loved. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to Reset for Women broadcast. What's up, y'all? It is Saturday. Can y'all jam with me? Because y'all know I like to dance, right? That's just a little quick dancing time. And I am so excited today that I have an amazing woman who is here today with us on the Reset for Women broadcast. This is the time that the broadcast is powered by Bold University. I'm Latoya, Coach Latoya, the founder of Bold University LLC. We're a faith-based wellness and business network for women. We do this at the Reset for Women broadcast, highlighting women who have overcome, have seen themselves in a dark situation, and they pulled themselves out, and now they're leading in their industry. And today I'm so excited to introduce to you guys and present to some of you guys who already know her already. But I'm here with Shannan Lewis, author of Blessing in Disguise. And she's going to be here to talk about her journey. And we are going to talk about destiny in disguise. So we're going to talk about that today, and we are going to talk about it. So drum roll, please, with a virtual clapping for my very own guest, Shannan Lewis. Everyone say hi to her. Hi. Oh my
Hi, Latoya.
goodness. You are
Or I should say,
fabulous, honey.
Coach
Thank
Latoya.
you.
I
That's
love
what
it.
I'm talking about. I don't know about you, but when I heard about your story, I had to say, oh my gosh. And then the crazy thing is that some years ago, while I was in my undergrad year in college and was so confused, I and Shannan, for those who are watching, a lot of people might not know, but she's a professor, or she have done those things before and played the role as a admission counselor at a great school. And I'm just so glad that later on, I didn't know that we would connect over Facebook, but I didn't know that you had that story that we're going to begin to talk about today for those who are watching and logging on. Shannan Lewis is a survivor, and I'm telling you, she's going to tell you more about what she have went through. But I brought her here because I'm talking to the woman who has been battling disease in their bodies or not taking their life seriously to the point that they're taking their health back. This is why we started Bold University as well. A part of what we do is focus on wellness, the woman's health. And Shannan Lewis, you can touch base on so much more today. But today we're going to dig deeper into it because she is a great woman in general. Her heart is generous. But I want to talk Shannan Lewis is because there's a lot of time us as women, when we get diagnosed with some, any type of illness or anything, we go mute. We get quiet. We don't even open our mouth because are we feeling the shame of it? Can you touch base on what are some things that you're noticing that was something that, and we talked about it before, that it became a passion of yours, that why are we keeping cancer as a secret? So
Yes,
touch base on that a little bit
yes,
and let us
yes.
know in your journey, what are some things that you have discovered and what are the trending factors that we finding over and over that women are doing or people in general when they get here?
Yes. Well, first of all, Latoya, it is such an honor to share this space with you. Just for your listening audience knowledge, back history here. I met Latoya several years ago when I was admissions counselor at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and she met with me just to talk about school and life. But I will never forget that encounter
Yeah.
because you had such presence and purpose was emanating from your spirit. It was just there. It was just exuding from your pores. And so you left my office, I'd like to say, with more than just the fragrance of your perfume. I
Oh,
could see purpose and passion in your life. And I just want to affirm you and acknowledge you. And even now, years later, you're doing this broadcast, you're doing this ministry, you're doing this amazing business that the Lord has called you to. I just want to let you know you're doing an outstanding job and I am proud of you.
air hug.
No,
Thank
to
you.
have me here, I am grateful. And to answer your first question, before I got diagnosed, I often wondered why is it that when people get a cancer diagnosis, for the most part,
Yeah.
they got silent about it or wanted to be secretive about it. And that
Mm,
was just a thought I had through the years based on observation. And of course, I understand the fear, the anxiety that comes with a cancer diagnosis, the uncertainty that
mm,
would cause people to take a step back and pull away. But what I didn't understand was what felt like stigma or shame or secrecy. And I remember saying to myself, even before I got diagnosed, why is it? Who taught us that there was stigma or shame or secrecy that should be attached to a cancer diagnosis? So for years, I had that mentality. Then
Wow.
cancer hit my life.
Mm.
And one of the first things I had to do was to decide what my attitude and my approach was going to be. Because I realized that being secretive about it, being silent about it, shutting down and stepping
Mm.
away completely
Wow.
would probably do me more harm than good and do others more harm than good. But in my story, in my experience, I was told by the Lord, because when I said, Lord, what are you doing here? How could you let this happen to me? After everything you've seen me go through, how could you give me this diagnosis after losing my own father? And he
Mm.
said, Shannan, I can trust you with it
Wow.
because you will share about it. And you will share in such a way that people will understand things about a cancer diagnosis and how to support someone that people don't usually talk about. And as a result of that, people will learn, people gain greater perspectives, and I will be glorified. So I had no choice, Latoya. I had to talk about it.
Wow. And that's so good because there's time that we're good in our hearts and we're doing everything that, we can do possible. But what
Yeah.
happened when cancer really hit your life? So I want you to touch base on what was that mindset? What did that feel like? Because some of us have not, we have, um, God knows this year actually we just lost someone at my church actually
Mm,
who was diagnosed and battling with cancer, and we have no idea. We got a lot of comments coming in. We had no idea how it is to go and face that
yeah.
until
Until
you're
it
on the
happens
other
to
side,
you. Yeah.
until it
Yeah.
happened to you.
Yeah.
So with that, I know that happened to you. What was that? How did that feel? How did that disrupt your life? What are some changes that you saw, and what are some things that you noticed that wasn't? I'm sure you had low moments, but talk about that because there's a lot of times people either go towards depression or they go towards acceleration, and so you can be in either on either side. So what are
Yeah.
some things that you had to do or how you
Yeah.
had to pull yourself back when you start
Yes.
low moment?
Yeah. Well, while I respect the choice that people choose to make regarding their diagnosis or the diagnosis of a loved one, um, I had to do what I call go into my Shannon zone. And I had to realize, okay, Shan, how are we gonna do this? And what I had to honestly do the first few nights in the hospital, the first few days in the hospital was have those conversations, those honest conversations with myself where I had to ask myself the questions and answer those questions. And so in order to gain the mental and emotional fortitude, I had to first decide how I was gonna do it. I was gonna be a victor, not a victim. That was the first thing. I
Wow.
mean, regardless of the outcome, my attitude and my approach was going to be that of a victor, not a victim. Now, I was not naive because the picture that was painted was like, this is devastating. But I thought of two things. I said, Shan, you have a track record with the Lord. And so it means that if this is going to be a chapter in your life, or if this is going to be the thing that's going to take you home, you have a choice as to how to do it. And I decided that regardless of the disruptions, because your question was about the disruptions,
Yeah.
I'm getting to that. Regardless of the disruptions, for me, it was a mental and a spiritual thing.
Wow.
I realized that if God allowed this to happen to me, He knew exactly how He was going to take me through. And because I've gone through many things in my life before, I figured He would also know how to take me through this. But the disruptions came immediately. I taught my university students on the Monday night, and the following Tuesday, meaning the day after, I was diagnosed. And so
Wow.
the first disruption that happened was I had two jobs at the university. I was the admissions counselor, but I was also an undergraduate professor. So the first disruption was my students were left without an instructor. That's the first one, just being really practical.
Yeah.
Immediately the university had to decide, okay, Shannan is now diagnosed with cancer and Shannan plays two roles here. So that was the first initial disruption. Second, my kids. had to realize that their mom wasn't going to be home for a while. I went to work one morning on a Monday morning, and the next thing I knew, I was in the hospital for days.
Wow.
And it turned out to be like extended stays. When I stayed in the hospital, they were for sometimes days or weeks at a time. So the second disruption, if I'm being really practical, is my children didn't have their mommy as often as they needed to have their mommy. You know, it came down to, I had to go on FMLA, which is family medical leave. And but once that ran out, guess who didn't have income? Can we just get really practical? I didn't have income because I wasn't working. So what people don't realize many times is that a cancer diagnosis has the audacity to disrupt our lives in
Yeah.
so many ways. And so the very first chapter in my book, Destiny in Disguise, is called The Disruption of Everything, because every area of my life was immediately impacted. I couldn't go out. I was confined to a hospital room most of the time. I had to go into, oh my God, I had to live at the hospital.
Wow.
Every area of my life was impacted. So to answer your question about disruptions, a cancer diagnosis, especially if it's something that is long term, it interrupts your financial life, it disrupts your social life, your physical life, because of course, as the disease began to make its presence known and treatment began, I was feeble. I mean, I went down to 107 pounds, and it was all said and done. When I tell you, should I keep going? You get the idea, right?
We can stay here all day. And I think this is a topic that, many of us as women, we have to really talk about our health.
Yeah.
What we ignore, we wait till we get sick at time to go to the hospital and to do those things. And you shared a little bit of how it happened and you
Yeah.
discovering how you have cancer and had no idea that was
Yeah.
going on. So
Yeah.
talk about that day. What was that day like for you?
Well, it's surreal. Like I said, the night before, I thought, and I was feeling tired. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. The months before, I had extreme fatigue, and
Mm,
to speak to the point you just made about women dismissing or
yes.
ignoring certain things, our
Hmm.
body speaks. There's a phrase in psychology that says the body remembers, the body speaks, and our bodies will give us warning signs that something is off.
Yes.
Looking back now, I was extremely fatigued. I was tired all the time, but I thought being tired all the time was just me doing life. Two jobs. Being the mom of two teenagers, active in church. I didn't really give it a second thought. It wasn't until that morning when I woke up, the morning of January 10th, 2017, and I felt, the first thing I said is, I feel weird.
Mm,
Not sick, not tired, just weird. And as the day progressed, my heartbeat became really irregular. I felt like I was about to have a heart attack.
wow.
And I was my body was in distress. And so I went to work, how we women do, super women. Still went to work, tried to get through the day, but my boss and my coworker said, Shannon, no, you're not going to be able to get through the day. You should call your doctor. And I called my doctor to make an appointment for that afternoon, because by then my heart was pounding so rapidly you could see it. I left to go to the doctor's appointment and was distressed all the way home because I could not drive. I'm like, something is happening. I felt like I was going to probably die.
Wow.
Bottom line is, I ended up going to my church, and they called the ambulance, and I was led out of my church lobby to the
Wow.
hospital. And that evening, I was diagnosed. So the body was telling me, you're tired all the time. Go check this out.
Wow.
And to be fair, I had no reason to think anything was going on, because I'd already done all my labs for the year. I'd already done all my medical checkups, and everything was fine. But there were other things happening. So as women, what we have to do is pay attention to things like anything that feels off in your body is usually your body giving you a clue to go get something checked. And I know, because I've talked to people recently who said there is a fear about what you could find out.
Yes.
Here's the reality of life.
Hmm.
It is better to find out, and
That's
find out in time to treat what could, instead of putting things off and dismissing and then having what I call premature death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there anyone who's watching have any questions for Shannan at this time? I mean, you represent, I mean, you have written this book, and I just want you to pause and talk about that book, Destiny in Disguise. I mean, like in it, and I had a chance to look at the table of content, and I'm like, I just want to talk about the whole table of content. And I know you can do that. That's your book. So, but I mean, like there is so much things that you are tackling in there. But one
Yeah.
of the things that I want to pause before you talk about the book, tell us how can we support someone who has been diagnosed with any type of
Yep.
illness or cancer? What can we do? Because, you know, we want to send them the flower, the sympathy cards. What can we do to prepare ourselves to help someone who's
Yep.
actually going through this?
I have a full chapter on just that, because one of the things that we also do, I think society teaches us that it's the appropriate response, is to send people thoughts and wishes.
Yes.
And it's nice. It's a beautiful cliche. We do it all the time. It is the easy thing to do in a post or in a text message to acknowledge that you've heard someone has been diagnosed. Can I tell you the real reality? Sending thoughts and best wishes does absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Because I'm just so yeah. I didn't let okay. So I'm so the transparent Shannan is about to come out now.
Yes.
Because when someone, especially someone that you know personally, has been diagnosed with cancer, if you're a praying person, they need prayer. Not just a one time and keep it moving, but they need constant prayer. And I wrote about the kinds of things to be praying about. They also need practical support. So you may not be the kind of person who can visit in the hospital. And the truth be told, it is not best for you to visit a cancer patient in the hospital. The immune system has been compromised. You
Yeah.
have no idea what you could be bringing in. You also mentioned flowers. I could not accept flowers. Flowers were not allowed on the oncology ward. So there are things that people do just because society has taught us to do these things, but they're not usually the most ideal. Prayers, practical support. If someone has lost their income, they're going to need bills paid. Let me just call it what it is.
Wow.
One of the best blessings I got when I got diagnosed and we realized it was going to be an extended journey and I didn't have income, I had people who said, she's going to need more than prayers. And so I had people would say, Shannan, how much is the light bill?
Wow.
I had people would come alongside and bring groceries. I had my university students and staff have a box on campus to donate snacks and items for my children, meaning it's practical. Support, thoughts, and best wishes sounds like practical demonstrations of love.
Yeah.
And granted, everybody's experience is different. Everybody's cancer situation is different. Everybody's diagnosis and treatment is different. But if you know someone well enough, you can ask, how can I help? What can I do to support? And if you don't know them well enough, a gift card goes a long way because the cancer journey and the cancer fight is expensive. So it is learning how to extend the hands and the heart of Jesus with more than just a cliche Facebook post. Can I just keep it 100%?
I love it. Keep it
I lost two of my very good sister friends this year to cancer. And I can tell you, their fight was rough. But the thing that they needed, in addition to thoughts and prayers, was money. Because when you are hit with a cancer diagnosis, insurance is impacted. I lost my insurance from my job.
Yeah.
I had to go on Medicare. So when you're thinking about supporting a cancer patient whose life has been impacted in terms of income, you're thinking about the practical things like transportation. I couldn't drive. I needed people to take me to my appointments. So sometimes it is not about going to a hospital to visit and bring flowers. It is, how can I show up in your life and give you the gift of Jesus in practical demonstrations of love?
Wow. Practical.
The practical, yeah.
Love it.
Which is why we shouldn't be secretive and silent about it, because we need the support.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
And Shannon, one of our goal here at Bold University, and for those who are watching and want to know what Bold University is about, is that we are at the end of this month. You guys be on the lookout because our website will be up. One of the things that we did, and for those who are watching, don't know how I started in the wellness industry and also the business, because you can't do business without wellness and you
Right.
can't do wellness without business, is that we have to have a lifestyle formula. We have to have a lifestyle plan in order for us to prevent these diseases that's happening in our bodies. We must set up our lives. It's not about you going and get your hair done, your nails done, and got a cute
More
outfit,
than that.
but what about the inside?
More
And we're
than that.
talking about prevention, and I want you to talk about your book now, and then we're going to touch a little bit on the BeTheMatch.org, because I want people to know how they can start changing their lives and how they can prepare for things when things happen, when life hits you, when life want to disrupt your flow of life. What can you do? So go and talk about this book. Let them know how they can get it. I promise you, if you know a woman and you're watching this, every woman needs to hear from a survivor. I truly believe that. Not someone who read something in a book, but I'm
Yes.
talking to somebody who had experience, who have suffered that, who know what it takes. For me, my wake-up call was at the age of 28 when I'm laying down
Wow.
on the floor and asking God to fix my life, and realized that it was a balance issue. I was doing a double job, and I had to quit my job so I can take back my life, gaining weight, doing all these other
Yeah.
things. We get caught up in doing those things and forgetting that we need our help. So I end up diagnosed with something called gastritis. So
Wow.
it's a gut issue type
Mm-hmm.
thing. But the
Mm-hmm.
main thing is for us to understand that it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you're not doing what it takes to take care of you, you'll end up in situations. And sometimes we do everything that we
Yeah.
need, but we need to have a backup plan. We need to figure out what it means to have our 6 month plan in case there's health issues that come up. So I want you to talk about that, because the book is talking about a lot of details. But tell us, how can we get it? How can we find you socially? How can we get that book? How can we get you to speak and talk about these topics?
Yes.
So go ahead and just let us.
Well, you said a mouthful, so I'm going to try to first of all start with the baby. I call it God's baby. I said,
Oh,
God, your baby's here. He
yeah.
woke me up one morning early last year, early in the early part of last year rather, and he said, Shannon, it's time to write. And I was hesitant. I really was hesitant, but I realized that I had gone through something, and so I had a responsibility now to share for the benefit of others, to inform, to provide instruction, and to inspire. So, as a result of my journey, Be the Match, Be the Match is the organization that coordinates bone marrow transplants. Because of my cancer journey, I had to have a bone marrow transplant in order
Mm,
to save my life and extend my life. And thankfully, my own sister, Alicia, was deemed a partial match. And
wow.
so because she was a match for my body, I could get her cells after I'd gone through chemo and radiation, and I now have the second chance at life. Consequently, I want to be a voice for this organization because there are over 70 diseases that can be cured and treated with a bone marrow transplant.
Wow.
But people fear what they don't know. So, one of my missions going forward is to increase awareness about the effectiveness of a bone marrow transplant by encouraging people to sign up, to go to the Be the Match website, sign up, to create an account, and to do a cheek swab. It's as simple as getting your cheek swabbed to see if you could potentially be a match for someone someday. That's one. And Destiny in Disguise, I wrote for cancer patients, for the caregivers and the supporters who are walking alongside someone dealing with cancer, for the brave warriors who have gone on, and for anyone who knows of anybody in their life who
Yes.
struggled or battled cancer. There's information here that you need because you don't know if at some point cancer is going to hit your life or the life of someone you love. And there's a lot of practical information here that will help to undergird you and to guide you as you go through that journey.
Wow.
That's the nutshell version.
Yeah. So how can we find your book? Like, where can they find your book?
Yes, it is currently available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
It was released on Monday, November 9th, which means it's also available in bookstores. Praise the Lord.
Awesome.
And I have just been excited to see people sending me pictures that their book has arrived. And, I had someone break down in my office this week, started
Wow.
reading, and he was like, I couldn't go any further. He was so moved by what he was reading. He's like, I had to stop, and he just bawled. And
Wow.
that for me was touching because it means that the message is resonating.
Yes.
I like
Yes.
to say, Latoya, this is not a Shannan story. This is our story. Because
Yeah.
all of us know someone whose life has been impacted by cancer.
Yes.
And we don't know what we don't know. So I invite you in to read about my experience as well as ways in which you can be a good supporter for someone diagnosed.
Yes. Wow. Wow. So, Shannan, one of the things that I wanted to touch base with you about is that now that your book came out and you're speaking in so many ways and levels, I want you to tell them about your website. How can they find
Yes.
you? I'm going to be putting that down. I choose to bloom. That is your brand as well. And
Yes.
I just want to talk to that woman that's watching, or a man that's watching, who is going through cancer. How can
Uh-huh.
they bloom in this time
Yes.
where it seems like life has fallen
Yes.
apart? What can they do? I want you
Yes.
to just encourage that person as we wrap up our broadcast.
Yes.
Thank you again for joining, but tell them, encourage that person on how they can bloom and how they can
Mhm.
overcome. I'm sure it might have crossed your mind. Am I going to live? Am I going to die? And
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of a conversation that's going on, but I know that you stand on God's word. I know that you stand on your faith. But for that person who's watching and said, you know what, I think I'm ready to go. But maybe there's a fight in them, because I know for sure that there's a fight that everyone who is diagnosed with cancer that they have to have.
Yeah.
And you don't know how tough you are or how strong you are until you're actually in the fire.
Right.
And
Right.
so how can that person start choosing to bloom?
Yeah. Yeah. I I I I embrace the opportunity to speak to who I call my brave warriors. I dispel the term sick and shut in, those terms that are not designed to identify the bravery and the boldness and the courage that it takes to deal with a cancer journey every day. So, to my brave warriors who are watching, first of all, your feelings are valid. The fear, the uncertainty, the anxiety, the pain, the constant discomfort, the questioning of yourself. You feel like your body has betrayed you. But let me tell you something. You are still the amazing person that you were before cancer disrupted your life.
Hmm.
And whatever you are feeling is valid. Own that feeling. However, remember that a cancer diagnosis does not define, diminish, or disqualify you.
Wow.
Yes, yes, right now. You may be in a situation where you have to say, this is now a part of my life story, but this will not define who I am. And whoever you were before, tap into your inner resources and fight. If you mean to fight, baby, fight. Whatever you have to do, get it done. But because there are some people who are okay with saying, I'm okay going home with this, then I encourage you, set your house in order, get things together in the event that
Wow.
this cancer diagnosis has come to take your life.
Wow.
Choose to live out these days being as positive as you can. Look for the things in life right now that still make you happy. Take time and pace yourself. Maximize your good days, because we have a lot of bad days, but there are some days that are not so bad. So
Wow.
maximize those. Limit contact and communication with toxic trash talkers. People who are negative, people who have nothing good to say, people who will come in and tell you all the people they know who died from that cancer. People can be insensitive. You don't need those people in your life right now. So if you have to sever ties and cut contact, do what you've got to do so you can safeguard your mind and your spirit and your thoughts and your emotions for the fight. But whatever happens, whatever treatment plan you have decided to adhere to, stick with the plan and believe in yourself. Follow all the rules, follow the restrictions, follow the new routines, and know that if you are not meant to die yet, you still have more days, because your cancer diagnosis may not be an immediate death sentence. Ask me how I know.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So, Shannan, we are wrapping it up. But for those who are watching, that was a great encouragement for those who keep, just have to keep moving on, keep making the right choices with your health. So, what are some ways that we can do to prevent? Is there anything that we can do to prevent cancer from happening? Any daily practice? What can we do?
Because there are so many kinds of cancers.
Yeah.
I am one of those. I'm very leery about organizations or websites or even fundraising efforts that talk about cancer prevention, because there are so many different kinds. You have no idea what could eventually result in a cancer diagnosis. But what I've learned from my experience is this: minimize stress. Stress will trigger things in our bodies that have no business being there. And so I have learned that self-care is essential. Self-care is not selfish. Whatever you have to do in your life to manage your eating habits, exercising, getting enough rest, and minimizing stress is essential, because the body remembers. And sometimes there are things in our body that's just laying dormant until a stressor will be the trigger. That's my biggest lesson, because look at children. Children didn't do anything to cause cancer, but look at the number of children who we know who have battled. I watched a beautiful funeral service a few weeks ago of a 9-year-old child who died from leukemia.
Wow.
Minimize stress. Stress is going to be one of the main things that we can do to stave off a cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my good. I could stay here all day and talk about it. Stress
Listen.
is one of my topic, subject topic, because that's the number one thing. And we think we're not stressed, but it's a silent killer.
Yeah. And the body remembers. There's a phrase that's called the body keeps score. The body remembers. And after a while, if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing in terms of the physical and the emotional and the mental and the social and the spiritual, the body remembers, and the body will come back and say, pay up. That is my advice. Wow. Eat well, get rest, manage your emotional and social well-being, have a spiritual life, and manage your stress well.
Love it. Love it. I got to go back to this broadcast and take notes.
Me too.
I love it. I enjoyed every bit of what you said. And I love it, because some of us read these things through a book, but you have lived it and you are changing lives. And I want to encourage you that your book is a best-selling book. And I'm just so excited that everything that God is doing in your life is going to be crazy and crazy good. And he's going to give you the strength to do it. And the courage to continue to do what you're doing, because you're preventing. And not only that, and I love it because you're an author. I remember someone was saying something to me, and we're going to wrap up our broadcast. They were like, every title is good, but an author is something powerful, because you're allowing your thoughts and your words to be written on paper, but you're taking your experience and you're capturing it in a way that people can understand that you had a dark season, but you have showed them how to bloom. And I just love that, because you made a choice. And for somebody watching, you got to make that choice. You got to make the choice to get up in the morning and exercise. You got to make the choice to stop eating them fries.
Listen. Speaking to Shannan.
I love the fact that what you told me that, and we are learning from the medical industry is taking a lot of our money.
Yes.
Right? Because they can treat us with medication, pharmaceutical companies are rising. We're seeing the changes happening, but we're not arising into our lifestyle plan. And because one, we feel as if, yes, the culture is good and everything that is the coaches and having those individuals and the system is important. That's why I created the BOLD formula, which is a simple lifestyle formula,
Wonderful.
lifestyle management, because that is what we need in order to prevent some things from happening. But not only that, when you've written this book, I believe generation is going to come and read and remember what you said on paper. And God has allowed you to become a survivor to teach people what
Exactly.
and the choices that you make and the mental state that you had to be in. I can just imagine. I can't even imagine what you can do, but I thank you for teaching us how to survive. I thank you for teaching us, for a woman who's watching, what it looks like to make it on the other side, right? What it looks like when you lost your hair. I saw some thing on
Mm, mm.
Tell them about your YouTube, because you track your journey. That is crazy.
Listen, my YouTube channel, when the cancer journey started, the Lord said I need to do videos, and I was like, what? No, you see, I'm a girly girl. I can't put myself out there like this. But He said, Shannan, people need to see and hear the raw realities, and so I documented my time in my YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, Shannan Lewis, I Choose to Bloom, you will see all the videos from my cancer journey. And believe me, cancer patients go and watch those now, and they are encouraged. And that warms my heart to know that as a result of the things that I went through in my yucky, vulnerable, raw moments, people's lives are now being impacted because they have the visual representation, and then they get to see what I look like now. This, I'm not telling you any lie. This is a miracle. This miracle, all because of the Lord. And so I have no choice but to share about what He has done.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Thank you for your courageous act and what you're doing with the Be the Match Foundation, and you continue to do what you're doing. For those who are watching, if you have any questions, we'll take one questions, two questions, and we are going to wrap it up. And we are going to continue to be just continue to pray for Shannan and her journey with leaving a mark. And I think at times, like, our roughest season is what really bring us into purpose.
Oh,
That
hence
God
the name of the book.
yes, yes.
Yep.
Destiny in
It was all a part of God's destiny for my life.
yes.
All of it. All of it.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it. So I welcome you to Bold University, and Bold University family who has been following us. Keep following us, because we have a launch for our website this month, and I'm excited about our membership. And we have a question for Miss Anissa. All right. Did your faith ever dwindle during the process? I love it.
Lord, how much should I share? Yes.
Yes.
Anissa, what I tell you, don't get it twisted. I was not on the mountaintop every day. God and I had some brawl sessions. I'm like, how dare you? How could you? You know, I had moments where I just I gave it to Him, but I said, listen, that's why you're God, because if you can't handle my real yucky, transparent vomit sessions to you, then you can't be my God. You gotta be big enough to handle it. And so there were times when I wondered why would you let this happen? You know, I remember sitting here one day and I'm like, God, I had two incomes, and I'm now here eating hot dogs for my Sunday dinner. Hot dog for my Sunday dinner. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
It got to the point of like, what are you doing with me?
Wow.
But I also had to remember, let me tell you what got me through it. I remembered my history with the Lord. I remembered from my childhood. And every time I fell in my faith walk, and I remembered the other battles that He brought me through. And I remembered every time I ministered on stage, and I remembered every song I sang, and I said, okay, you've done it before, you can do it again. And I would grow up my faith, and I'd keep fighting forward. But yes, my faith dwindled from time to time, but I always went back and remembered I have a track record with you, and you have not failed me yet. And even if it meant death, I was going to go home a victor. I was going to go home and they would all hear my big mouth, because this is a faith walk.
That's an
And so in
assurance.
those moments, I had to gird up my loins and keep moving.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I was telling somebody today, I said, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter how beautiful you look and your body look good.
Yeah.
When it's your time, it's your time. But
It's your time. Yeah.
There's people that know that they're not done yet. And they really have faith believers and walkers. I truly believe when we begin to seek God, there's a different type of results. There's a different type of result. And I thank you for your story represent hope. It represents assurance, and it represents women. I am just so excited about what you're going to do with everything. And I can't wait for the conference. I can't wait for the conference. I can't wait for the conference. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I just say, Lord, what next? This is why I Choose to Bloom was born. It's the birthing of everything that the Lord has placed inside of me. And however He's going to do it, I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. So it will all fall under the I Choose to Bloom brand. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you, everyone. Everyone just virtually clap for my guest, my very special guest, Shannan Lewis, the author of Destiny in Disguise. We're excited here at Bold University to have her to be a part of our platform. And I want to tell you guys, go get her book, Support for those individuals that has cancer. You want to allow them to watch her journey on YouTube. For those who have newly diagnosed with it, for those who need to learn about Be the Match Foundation and how you can save a life, you want to go ahead and visit www.bethematch.org. Okay. And Shannan Lewis has plenty of information. She's an expert, not just an expert, but she has the experience. And I'm excited about her present here on our Reset for Women broadcast, where we are reshaping, finding women who have overcome through pain, and now they're turned their pain into opportunities. And we're excited. And we call you bold, Shannan, here at Bold University. You are bold. You are a bold woman to be able to be a survivor and to show individual the courage, what it means to bloom in spite of. I love you guys for watching. Thank you again. And join me next time with I have this other phenomenal woman that's coming. She's a nutritionist from Canada, and I'm excited about her. And we're going to be talking about healthy gut, okay, on the Reset for Women broadcast next time. So guys, I'll see you soon, and stick around for our membership platform very soon. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Thank you, Shannan.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.